Okay, hola all, welcome back to Soul Mechanics. This video is a special one it's for Miguel. Miguel, if you're watching, hopefully you should be watching. Hi, it's very good to be back in contact with you, man. I'm sorry for your troubles, but we're going to do our very best to clear that shit up for you whenever you're ready to go ahead with that. But also, this is for a channel operator, the operator of a channel called True Life Stories, who graciously accepted me into a group that he has. It's a closed group for psychedelic research, psychedelic exploration, for sharing journeys. It's the same as the Remnants program, really, except they're a closed group, and so obviously that makes them a little more difficult to come across, but they're solely dedicated psychonauts. They're called the Truth Family, and they're dedicated to psychedelic exploration. Whereas the Remnants program is more for this is to introduce myself to this Truth Family group. I'm a friend of Miguel's. He's the one who brought me aboard. But I'm also, my name is Donovan Neal, obviously, but you can call me Blue. Family calls me Blue, and your family. You considered family anyways. I'm the director of what we call the Status Initiative, which is a group that's dedicated to networking other groups that are interested in metaphysics, interested in spirituality in general, fighting the good fight for unity, to bring everybody together. We're a networking organization intent on bringing everyone together, unifying humanity, as it were, and kind of waking everybody up, getting everybody on a move forward kind of schematic. But also, I'm the absentee director for the Remnants of Tomorrow program, which is initially a psychedelics exploration program, but ultimately dedicated to just exploring everything. We're exploring all of life's mysteries and investigating everything to the best of our abilities. We have various dedicated researchers on our directive team that are very good at what they do. They're very, very good investigators, but they're not dedicated psychonauts. This group, the Truth Family, is dedicated psychonauts, so this story is for them. It's a sort of a trip that I had, well, actually a collection of them, but it's a weird one. But yeah, it's for them. I'm sorry to the dude who runs the group and the dude who runs the channel, the True Life Stories, but I can't help but point out you misspelled stories. The name of your channel, S-T-O-R-Y, as it's going to be S-T-O-R-I-E-S properly. I apologize. I can't help myself. I'm a grammar fanatic. I'm a writer, so language, rhetoric, that's my specialty, communication. And I can't help but correct things when I see them. I do apologize if it pisses you off, but there are questions that need to be asked in that respect, which we'll get to in a moment. Anyways, when I was a kid, this is the story. When I was a kid, we were into drugs. I'm an alchemist. I've always been an alchemist. I've experimented on myself, used myself as a proverbial guinea pig to experiment with any chemical triggers and substances I could get my hands on earlier in life, not now. Anybody that's watching that's like fucking potential employers or what have you, I am not using drugs now, aside from the psychedelics project, which is neither here nor there. We'll talk about that in person. But when I was a kid, we dabbled in drugs, and I dicked around with anything I could get my hands on. I experimented with a lot of things, and I had various reasons to be doing this. Like, for one, I experimented making a drug that would cause temporary amnesia for the sake of understanding my grandmother's predicament with dementia, and that worked out, So I'm an explorer insofar as the psyche is concerned, and obviously psychedelics, but we were dicking around with drugs. Like, I've never touched heroin. I've never touched methamphetamines, although I kind of like to. I've never had ecstasy or MDMA, shit like that. I never got to try that. I always wanted to, but obviously, like, anything that involves a needle, that's out of the question. There's no way I could. That's the only reason I'm not a nurse right now. I'm an STNA, but I could have become a nurse, but I can't handle needles, period. So that's that. And very anti-addiction. We have a whole anti-addiction campaign running through the Remnants program, so, and through the initiative, but that's a different story. Anyways, getting back, when we were kids, myself and 3 other people that shall remain unnamed for obvious reasons, were pretty much solely responsible for distributing opium throughout the entire Ohio area. And, you know, we were heavily involved in this drug scene. We were dicking around with a lot of shit. We had that synthetic stuff too, which was pretty cool, but I mean, I didn't really think it was that great. Everybody was fanatical about it. I didn't see much, didn't interest me. It wasn't good, but I did dick around with whatever combinations I could get, and, you know, I had some psychedelic experiences. I had used a white blotter a few times, and then gel caps, and I had used this really cool Blue Moon acid that was totally banging. That shit was so much fun. That's a different story, though, but I had like, acid trips. I hadn't tried mushrooms yet, but I had like, acid trips, although I hadn't had a real psychedelic experience yet. Like, it was something that I couldn't even conceive of at the time. And one day, I go up to my buddy's house where everybody hangs out. They pop out a bong, and what they've got in it is salvia. They call clarisage salvia. Now, I had not even heard whispers on the streets of this shit. I didn't know the first damn thing about it. It was just, all of a sudden this pops up and they're like, here, try this. And I'm like, well, okay. What could it possibly, what could be so wrong about it? Now, I took a big fucking blast, a huge bong hit of this shit, and I held it in for as long as I could. I'm thinking, this is legal shit, like, I'm fucking, what's it gonna do, right? Now, when I let out that hit, by the time that hit came out, I was in a dream. Like, I was literally in it. Like, I walked up to a friend of mine. She was a student of mine at the time. One of the first people I ever trained. Her name was Andrea. We called her Dre. I walk up to her. I look her up and down, and I'm like, this is a dream. I told her flat out, this is a dream. You're not real. I said to her, you're not real. And I wasn't lying. I was in a dream. Like, the world turned into a fucking dream, and I felt like I was in a dream, and I, like, had the memory running as though I had gone to sleep and I was in a dream. And that was the first, like, truly psychedelic experience I ever had, because it came close to witnessing reality. It came close to understanding that this is, in fact, a dream. Now, cut to a few years later, and I'm on the down and out, so I'm kind of like, Dre left, she got married and left, and thankfully, I trained her well enough to get her shit together and move along, so she was doing well, and I hooked her up with a friend of mine. They got married. They had a kid, actually, not too long ago, but she left. You know how married life is. They tell all their friends to fuck off, pretty much, and, have a new life, so I hadn't seen her, and I was on the down and outs about it, and I do believe this was right after I split up with my ex-wife. This was right after we split up, so I was really, like, in a black hole kind of depression area of my life, and I went to visit a friend on the way to visit my ex-wife. I was going to see her. Like, I hung out with her a few times. We had a span where we were disconnected for a while right after we broke up, but divorced, technically. We were not legally married, so we couldn't legally be divorced. In fact, technically, we're still married, but I was going up to visit her. There's a few times I visited her before we split for a while, then we came back together as we are now, but to build the initiative, really. We built it together, she and I, and my brother, but, I'm walking up to her house, and I run into an old friend, Vargas, and he's got a bunch of this salvia. He says, here, I'll give you a bunch of this for $5. I was like, yeah, I'll try it. I mean, it was cool the first time, the dreamy sequence, right? I take that shit home, and as I said, I'm down. I'm not feeling well. This is a bad place in my life. I'm in a fucking black hole. Everything's warped and shitty. And I took a big hit of it, and I got that dreamy effect again. And then I took it to my mom, and she's standing in what was the smoking room in our old house that I grew up in. And I give her the pipe, and I'm like, try this. And she hits it, and she just stands there staring at me like. I was just laughing my ass off. I was like, I knew what was happening to her, But, And I took it back upstairs. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this as far as I can because I'm a bit of an extremist. I take everything the furthest avenues that I can. So, you know, and I'm a psychonaut. I want to explore. I want to see how far this can go. I want to see where it can take me. So, I take the biggest hit I can, let it out, take another big-ass hit, hold it. And the next thing I know, which I didn't really know, it's like I appeared here. Like, suddenly I was in this frame of reference, this state of being that... It was like... My body felt like it compressed into this cube. Like I had compressed into this smushy cube, and the whole world was wrapped up, and it was just this tunnel, this endless tunnel of lights, these colored objects, like cogs and wheels. I was a cube, like moving, and I could feel myself being smushed and moved along in this line, and it was seriously like, it felt like I had been in this line forever, and it was going on and on and on forever, and this was like the process. This was like a natural process that it was inescapable. I felt as though this was an inevitable reality, that I was just this thing in this endless machine of cogs and wheels and little cubes and blocks and colors, and the colors were kind of like dancing down this tunnel, but there was sort of a light at the end of the tunnel, but the light was really like sound, and it was a voice that was coming at me, and I felt like it was the voice of God washing over me, and it was repeating something endlessly. I don't know, it was some kind of dramatic message that was like the meaning of all existence. It was like just a holy, enlightening experience. This voice was telling me all the secrets of life. But I was stuck in this tunnel forever, and I felt that there's no way I'm ever getting out of this. This is just forever and ever. This is what I really am. That's what I felt like. I had awakened from the dream of life, and this is what I really am, is just this thing moving in this tunnel and being smushed and squished and like transformed throughout it. And just endlessly churning and churning throughout, and like bobbing and weaving and dancing, just the weirdest fucking thing. But I was in there forever and ever. It was eternity to me. But this voice was kind of soothing in that it was telling me something. I was terrified. I mean, I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? But this voice was like comforting me. It was telling me what was really happening and calming me down. Now, when I woke out of it finally after forever and ever happened, what that voice was, like when I heard the voice, it felt like I was in an airplane like an airport terminal, and this voice was over the loudspeaker. Is like the existential checkout, that I was in this line that was moving on forever, and this voice was like the stewardess or something speaking over the fucking. It was a female voice speaking over the loudspeaker, forever and ever and ever. When I woke out of it, this voice that was telling me the meaning of life, it was actually the intro scene for a porno that I had left on repeat, because I like to do that. I like to have dancing girls in the background whenever I'm doing trippy shit. It's something I love. I love girls dancing. Not so much the pornography, just the dancing girls, and this intro had dancing girls. But it also had a voice that was saying something. There was a music playing with the voice, and I liked the music, but this voice was repeating in it, and it was just playing on a loop, and that's what I was hearing. That's what I thought was the voice of God. I had no concept of what could actually be happening outside of there. I was no longer me. There was no Donovan. There was just this fucking tunnel, and I was just a cog in the machine of it. So that was where I kind of hit bottom on that. I felt as though I'd hit pay dirt, like I understood something vital there. And anybody who's experienced the same thing, you'll get what I'm trying to say. Anybody who hasn't experienced it, you'll have no fucking clue. You'll just think I'm wacky and crazy here. But that was the first, like, really, truly break from reality kind of psychedelic experience I had. The DMT trip's going to be the second one, and the one I like the most, that I think is most important. And that's, I already made that video twice, but the new one, the revised version, is titled Geometrically Sound. That's going to be in the same playlist as this on my channel. So anybody that's watching in the Truth family, check out my channel. I got a lot of good shit, and I'm going to continue to make videos reporting on the trips that I've had. But that one, that really scared me, and that's the one in the Geometrically Sound video. I'm going to talk about how that one scared me. This is what I'm talking about, was this. But yeah, it felt like the existential checkout, like I was in this forever loop that was just... It was horrifying, but it was like, it was the never. It was back in the never, but it was more constructed. Like when I speak to the never, there's a video I did called Fearing the Never that talks about that experience, which is when I was in a coma. And yes, I was in a coma. I've been through the craziest fucking shit you can imagine, and I'll try to tell you guys as much of it as I can, but a lot of it got lost in the tumble and drumble of it, yeah, that's about as much as I can say about it. Now you gotta watch that geometrically sound video where I talk about the DMT trip, and if you guys identify with anything that I'm presenting, please fucking comment, tell me, give me feedback on this. I need your guys' input so that we can collaborate, we can get an idea of what might be actually going on here, because I do believe this psychedelic exploration is the key to seeing what's really happening beyond the veil of the illusory life we are in. So that's my cue. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for accepting me into the group. You guys have a lovely forever and ever. Keelah Taerve Uni Siari. Namaste.